When we can reconnect to that part of ourselves that is whole and complete, we expand our capacity to heal, to love, to relate, to work, to cooperate, to collaborate across race, ethnicities, religions, geographies, etc. Welcome back to Healing from Racism, Lessons from the Tao Te Ching. I'm Lisa Jagona, and in this video series, I am using the passages of the Tao Te Ching to examine what racism is, how we internalize it, where it begins, and how we can find our pathway towards healing from racism. This video series accompanies my book, which you can get on the waiting list for using the link in the description. In this video, I'm going to be looking at verse 9 of the Tao Te Ching, and it is beautiful and is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to make this very quick and short because this verse speaks for itself, and I really recommend that you go ahead and read it for yourself. I've provided a link to a PDF version of the Tao Te Ching that you can check out. It begins, "Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening the knife, and it will be blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner." This first part of verse 9 is a complete and total rejection of many things that uphold racial narratives and aim to shift your attention. It's a rejection of elitism, classism, extraction, exploitation, materialism, and excess. I've said racism works in part by creating a sense of deprivation or lack, by creating the impression that nothing is ever enough. It distracts and confuses one's sense of self as a whole being. Instead of experiencing the fullness and the wholeness, racism feeds into our worst fears. It is never enough. I am never enough. You can never be enough. You can never be successful enough, never be happy enough, never be rich enough, never experience the abundance. You can never be truly loved. And you can never be wholly you. Instead, feeling deprived and lacking, you must have more. But this is counterproductive. It is harmful to the spirit. The blunting of the knife is like your spirit becoming dimmer and dimmer. By trying to get more and more things that will make you shine without ever working on your spirit, you are in fact blunting your knife. I can wear all the beautiful jewelry. I can have all the beautiful makeup. I can even have all the power and influence in the world. But if inside I know that I'm not content with myself, referring back to verse 8, if I know that I'm not content with myself, then I'm just using all these things to cover up that discontentment. And the real source of the pain is my spirit is broken. And it's actually getting dimmer and dimmer the more I try to layer on and buying into the idea that accumulating more is going to solve my problems. No, it's a problem with the spirit. And that will never be fixed with these external material things. And so when your heart is clenched, your radiance cannot shine through. The not enoughism narratives of racism cause you to continue looking to others, seeking their approval, seeking their praise, seeking their acceptance in order to feel whole. That's never coming. If your sense of wholeness depends on others, you will never be enough. As verse 9 says, you will be and remain their prisoner. Verse 9 ends by offering a simple solution. Do your work, then step back, the only path to serenity. The Tao Te Ching is beautiful in its simplicity, and the path to healing from racism, on a personal level certainly, is simple. It's a releasing of the narratives that uphold racism, the ideas that, oh, the ideas of what should be, ought to be, and instead building on your knowledge and awareness and acceptance of what is. It's excavating these racialized narratives within yourself and seeing how your spirit might be getting blunted by them, and then working slowly to rebuild yourself. It's noticing how these narratives confuse you, confuse your spirit, making you feel unable or advocating for things that lack logic and are out of balance, meaning that at an intuitive level, they don't make sense. Your spirit knows. Racial narratives justify hate and doing harm, and you have to work really hard to overcome the natural laws of cause and effect. When you and I know that when you hate, you get hate. When you do harm, you get harmed. Intuitively, we know about this balance. And the discomfort racism creates within comes from this lack of knowledge and lack of alignment of these narratives. They hurt our minds, they hurt our bodies and our spirits, and create tensions in our relationships because they advance a disharmony. It puts us out of balance. By directing all our energy to prove something to someone, we leave the center of our circle. And so, verse 9 is an invitation to return to yourself. Simply focus on doing what you enjoy, going back to verse 8, and then when it's done, stepping back to let it go. In the last video, I invited you to do an exercise. I invited you to bring to conscious awareness any judgments that you had been casting upon me. Then I asked you to consider what these judgments tell you about yourself. What do you value? What do you believe? What do you prioritize? What brings anxieties and worries within you? Some watching, I bet, would say the quality of these videos isn't great, the audio isn't great, and you might be wondering what's going on in the background. And noticing all these things is within your prerogative as a conscious human being. But I want to recenter you. Why are you watching this video? If you've watched the series, why have you continued to watch this series? What do you hope to get out of it? That's for you to explore. But I want to share why it is that I'm making these videos and why it is that I'm not particularly interested in or concerned about the quality of these videos in order to get these videos out. Yes, I'll be honest, the quality of these videos isn't the highest. It's not professionally edited, recorded, or scripted. But here's the thing. If I waited until I had all the resources to make the big production just so you wouldn't judge me harshly, this exploration into how we heal from racism would not be coming directly to you now. And what I notice instead is so many of us are wounded by racialized narratives, which ultimately are connected to narratives that support and uphold elitism, classism, and notions of superiority. These ideas that in order to have what you have, you need to kick somebody down. We're trained to appeal to others for approval and praise and acceptance, especially those we perceive to be somehow higher than us in the social hierarchy. We pour ourselves out for this acceptance. And the longer we do that, the more powerless we begin to feel. You forget you are capable of so much more. So part of the reason I'm posting these videos is to demonstrate just how powerful you already are, to invite you to stop waiting to do the work that you are called to do. My hope and the much loftier and purpose behind these videos is to remind you of something so much more profound and deeper, so much more true than any of this. Because when we can reconnect to that part of ourselves that is whole and complete, we expand our capacity to heal, to love, to relate, to work, to cooperate, to collaborate across race, ethnicities, religions, geographies, etc. But the clinging that we do for these things is actually us clinging our hearts, which blocks our ability to witness each other and to be together. And the truth is, there is enough in this world. This world has plenty and is full of abundance. And it's incumbent upon each one of us to fill ourselves sufficiently, but not at the expense of other people. And so, how can you fill yourself up without needing to overflow in a way that impedes upon other people, including producing more waste that contributes to the pollution of this, our only home? I'm excited to be living in this moment because I notice people who have only expected crumbs and spillovers as their source of sustenance starting to say no. People are refusing to carry extra baggage that they have been carrying to make others feel comfortable. People are saying, I'm not doing it anymore. And that makes this an interesting moment to be alive in history. These are turbulent times. And as simple as the advice is to do your work and then step back might be, it's a slow and sometimes difficult journey. It's sometimes lonely. But if you're up for the challenge and isolation and powerlessness consume your energy, I invite you to schedule a time for us to connect using the link in the description. In the meantime, I do welcome your thoughts. What do you notice, feel, and remember as you meditate on this verse 9 of the Tao Te Ching? Until next time, continue to do your work, and together we might just create ripples that combine to form powerful waves of change.